Welcome to the LDN Radio Show, brought to you by the LDN Research Trust. I'm your host, Linda Elsiegood. I have an exciting lineup of guest speakers who are LDN experts in their field. We will be discussing low-dose Naltrexone and its many uses in autoimmune diseases, cancers, etc. Thank you for joining us. This show is sponsored by Las Colinas Pharmacy. They're an ACHC accredited compounding pharmacy, rated in the top 2% of US compounding pharmacies. To achieve the most successful outcomes, low-dose naltrexone therapy requires extensive experience coupled with a knowledgeable integrative medicine approach. Visit www.lascolinaspharmacy.com. Today my guest is Pharmacist Jim Hrncir, who is the founder of Las Colinas Pharmacy, Compounding and Wellness in Texas since 1984. Thank you for joining us today, Jim.
Oh, so glad to be here. And Linda, I do want to start out by saying that thank you for what you do, because you have been an inspiration to me. You've been an inspiration to a lot of patients with your own personal case and putting that out there, which might have been painful for you, but I do appreciate what you've done and the work that you put in to help patients achieve better health.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind. So does that mean you listened to my recording where I cried? It's horrible.
and I read your book.
Oh, you did? Okay.
And it was inspiring to me. And it was not an easy read, by the way. but it was an important read for my patients, because that's what's most important, is how we take care of our patients.
Oh, wonderful. So first of all, I know you are an accredited pharmacy. But how did you get into pharmacy? Did you always want to work in medicine?
We actually started back when I was a kid. We had family friends that were pharmacists. They owned their own pharmacies, drugstores, and I always thought, gosh, those guys seem to be doing well and helping a lot of people, and I looked up to them. One of them became mayor of the town that I grew up in the panhandle of Texas. And so I grew up thinking I was going to go to college and maybe to get a degree in pharmacy. And sure enough, that's where I ended up.
Well, it's good to reach your ambitions, isn't it? Make your dreams come true. So what training have you had? How did you become to found your own pharmacy? Did you work for somebody else first and then work your way up, or were you lucky enough to jump straight in?
It's quite a struggle to get your own pharmacy, and I really applaud those who have done so. But you have to have that mentality that I think that I can do it better than the other guys, and even though your chances of failure are very high. And so we, after working about 4 years for some of the chain pharmacies, I had an opportunity to start my own pharmacy. So my wife and I actually jumped right in and founded it from scratch. And we founded it on customer service, and we thought, well, let's just see where that leads us. And at first, it led us into dermatological compounding. We were doing regular prescriptions, of course. Mm-hmm. And the dermatological compounding was very interesting, and we were having a lot of early successes with that. And it taught me some things about compounding. And then some health problems within my family and friends. And I started realizing that maybe that Western medicine, traditional medicine, did not have all the answers. Because when your wife goes to the doctor and they says, gosh, I don't know what's wrong with you. All I know is I wouldn't want to live in your body. Mm-hmm. You start looking around and you start doubting, oh my gosh, I thought that traditional medicine had all the answers, and they don't. And it's not that they're not good guys and not trying to do a good job. Most of my friends are traditional doctors, but I thought there's got to be something more out there. So I started investigating And in those days, it was called natural medicine, but we now call it integrated medicine or functional medicine. And so I started investigating that in the late 80s, around maybe 86, 87. And we opened the store in 84. And so that drew me, and it captured me. My brain just wrapped around it. And I thought, I see the value. I see the value for my patients. And it was also, I felt like it was going to be a model that I wanted to emulate, to see these guys that were out there helping patients with this integrated model using both the best of traditional medicine and natural medicine.
So how did you become accredited? Do you have to pass tests and such like?
Yeah. When we bit that off, I thought, we do a good job compounding. We've always been ahead of the curve as far as quality goes and assuring our patients and our providers, our doctors who write prescriptions for compounds, that we would be above reproach. I mean, we tested our products, to make sure that they were actually potent. And we watched our kids, how, in the lab techs, how they actually formed all the compounds, and matter of fact, my wife and I did most of the compounding in the early days. And so then we thought, there's this accreditation process, and we thought we might just tackle that. And it's very expensive. It requires an incredible amount of time. And we have 7 pharmacists here on staff, and we spend a lot of time on patient care. And so we thought, well, it's just natural. But so the accreditation board gave us huge amounts of work to do. We got all that accomplished, and then they came in and surveyed us for 2 days. And that means they look into every nook and cranny of your business, how you do everything. And very painful, but it makes you better. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That.
Yeah. And
so we got better and better. And matter of fact, we're preparing for a second accreditation visit because we have them every 3 years. And so very proud to say that we do more than simply just wait for prescriptions to get here and then put some pills in a bottle. We actually go to all the efforts to make sure that the patient is protected, that they get the right prescriptions, the right dosage forms, that it actually has what it says it has in it, it releases properly. And in addition, we even go to great lengths to protect our employees because they're working with a lot of chemicals, hormones, LDN, and they're exposed to these things. So we have a lot of protective garb and equipment to protect the employees from exposure to all these chemicals.
Hmm. And what year did you become accredited in?
That was in 2014.
Mm-hmm. So when you were compounding, let's say, LDN, what forms do you compound it into?
We started out doing a few capsules, and it was really before I knew much about LDN, to be honest with you. Mm. I know it's been around since the 90s when Dr. Bahari kind of got it kicked off. But, I didn't pay a lot of attention to it. I was really immersed in other therapies. And then I saw a few compelling seminars on it. I thought, I might as well delve deeper into this. And I found out that, some of the doctors didn't know what they were doing. They were writing prescriptions for slow release Naltrexone, and that decreases the effectiveness of the medication. Or we were putting it in the wrong base because there's fillers in a capsule. And so we learned the details of how to make it most effective for patients. And then in addition, we've had to do it for liquids for some people. We've done it in topicals for some specific areas, especially like psoriasis hotspots, for example. But the most interesting, I think, might be is there's this one patient. He's a 61-year-old male, happens to be me. And I'd had some viruses and lost my sense of smell, and I could call it anosmia. So I thought, this has such a great effect on the brain and on neuroinflammation and glial cell calming and myelin sheath protection and all that. I thought, why don't I just, calm down all those total-like receptors in the brain? I thought maybe I could reestablish communication between my nose, my taste buds, and the olfactory portion of my brain. So I came up with a nasal spray. I thought, why not deliver it directly to the area?
Haven't heard of that
and
before.
so I started. Yeah, matter of fact, I wrote it in the forum. I said, "Does anybody else use this?" And I think I heard one or two people said that they had not tried it, and it sounded like it was a good idea, and let them know how it worked. Well, I tried it, and after about 3 months, I did start noticing that I had about 50% of my taste and smell back. And so that was kind of a big jump, because the ear, nose, and throat doctors say that once you've lost it, it's about a 99.9% chance of not returning. And so I was very excited to have that. It did surprise me, though, because, and we can talk about this more later, but an unintended consequence was that my thyroid medication had to be reduced by more than 2/3 because of, and we can, if you'd like to go into the details of this, thyroid medication works so much better when you're on LDN for a host of reasons, and so I had to reduce my thyroid dosage by, like I say, almost 75%.
Well, that's amazing, isn't it? I mean, to reduce medications so your body is having less drugs in there has got to be a good thing. And an LDN is such a low dose anyway. That's not really here nor there, is it? So that is amazing. So it
was exciting to me.
So the 50% that you got back, did you get any more, or did it stabilize at 50%?
I've only done it about 3 months now for that purpose,
right.
And so I'm anxious to see if we will continue to see progress on my case. It was just so exciting, yes. But and typically, I mean, I don't know what other people say, but for us, at 2 months you start seeing things, and that's when we really see I'd say the majority of our effects really start happening around 2 months. We have some amazing cases we can talk about if you'd like.
Yes, please do.
I think our first case that really got my juices flowing was, I have an employee, and she's about 70, and a wisp of a woman, 5'6", maybe 130. So, and she's always been an outdoor lady. She rode horses. She had her own horses, and she had gotten to where she wasn't going out to ride her horses anymore. I said, and she came into my office, and I've known her for 30 years, and I saw her hand, and I know what rheumatoid arthritis hands look like. They're
yes.
kind of almost drawn into a claw, and I said, gosh, I did not realize your hands had gotten so bad. And she said, and she's low drama, she doesn't complain much. And she said, yeah, Jim, it's gotten pretty rough. I can still grab a pencil and do the bookwork for us and everything. I said, well, that's great. And she said, you may notice I'm coming in a little later for work. And I said, well, why? She says, it takes me 15 to 20 minutes to get up, get on my feet, and get out of bed. And I said, oh my gosh, I did not realize that you were going through this. Why didn't you tell me? I mean, we've been friends all these years. She said, Jim, I just don't want to complain. So I said, let's try LDN on you. And this was back in, I think, right in January of 2015. And, again, we'd been trying it on patients before, but we hadn't really been following up. I didn't know a lot about it. And so we tried her on it. And 2 months later, she came into the office, and she held her little claw up, her hand. And then she says, watch this. And she pushed her hand straight out flat. Wow. And her knuckles, the swollen knuckles had gone down more than 50%. And this was just in 2 months. And I remember she told me at 1 month, she said, Jim, it's not doing anything. There's no reason for me to even continue taking this. And I said, Mark, let's just try just a little bit longer. And sure enough, at 2 months, and she said, I'll tell you something else, Jim. She said, when I get out of bed in the morning, my feet hit the ground and I'm running. I mean, there is no 15 minutes of me getting up and getting going and taking a handful of Advil. I said, how many Advil did you take? And she said, how many can I get in my hand? And this is ibuprofen. And so I was so proud of that outcome. And it's continued to get better. She has continued her therapy, and it's been amazing. And to me, that was the first case that gave me chill bumps. Those chill bumps that you go, wow, I have changed someone's life.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you do the nasal spray. capsules.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do a liquid, a sublingual?
We have not been doing sublinguals. However, we have been doing liquids for some people who just did not swallow pills well, and that worked fine. It works equally as well as the capsules. The capsules we can, because we have quite a bit of call for them, we keep them made up ahead of time and in anticipation of prescriptions, and that way we don't have to delay the patients and go, gosh, we'll have that ready for you tomorrow or the next day. Instead, we say, let's get you out of here right now. Mm-hmm. And so we encourage capsules, but if they're not capsule swallowers or if there's some impediment, then we do go to the other dosage forms.
What about the cream?
The cream I have not used as much. We've used it on some hot spots. We had a patient I thought I was going to have to use cream on, just an example. Had a 45-year-old male. He had really rough case of psoriasis on the face and genitals. And he was seeing one of my integrated medicine doctor buddies. Matter of fact, that doctor and I co-present on our training course that we give. And so he called me up and he says, Jim, you're not going to believe this case. And I said, what happened? He says, I got him on low-dose Naltrexone, and the psoriasis is completely clear. He is 100% clear. And first time, and his doctors were about to put him on methotrexate and the biologics, which are fraught with side effects. Yes. I mean, matter of fact, they just scare the pants off of me. And both of those drugs. And this patient he was just a train wreck. Insulin resistance, bad cholesterol, low vitamin D, bad diet. Hormones were in the toilet, and of course the doctor and I were working on that. But the LDN was the tipper. That was what actually tipped him over the top, and he was able to go just completely clear. And the patient said he hadn't had clearance like that in years. So that was a great case, and a great success. I
mean, it's life-changing. I mean, psoriasis is an awful condition, and it's amazing how many people actually suffer with it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's shocking. I had one of my doctors who attended my training class, and again, we teach of a wide variety of integrated medicine modules, hormones and thyroid and adrenals and growth hormone and we look at diet and ethical use of supplements and I've added low-dose Naltrexone over the last year and a half as a module for the course. Mm-hmm. And so one of the doctors who took that, she was a gynecologist who decided to go into integrated medicine. And she had a 47-year-old female, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, Hashimoto's, hormone imbalance. And she said, Jim, do you think we ought to try her on this? I said, yeah, but on the Hashimoto's, let's start her low dose. Also, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia cases, I like to start lower than I do other cases and work my way up slowly, just titrate slowly on the dosage. And at 2 months, it's my 2-month window, that keeps it a recurring window. And she calls up the doctor, and this is typical of Americans, okay? She calls up the doctor, and she says, I am feeling great. I haven't had this much energy, no achiness. I mean, I'm fantastic. I'm losing weight. I feel great. My brain is great. She says, when can I stop this medication? And the doctor started laughing, and she goes, well, when do you want to feel bad again?
Yes.
And, we in America, we think we're going to take a pill and it's going to fix us, but we don't understand that there's root cause of these problems. In America, and I guess this is in traditional medicine throughout a lot of the world, but we think that all we have to do is take a pill and it's going to cure us. And big pharma, the pharmaceutical companies, really don't want to cure. There's no money in cures. There's only money in controlling things. And when you take cholesterol, for example, I mean, we want to take medications that simply control cholesterol, not that fix the root cause of the high cholesterol.
I'm only saying that because I have high cholesterol, which I have a statin. And I was told my mother had a major heart attack, and the reason for the heart attack was cholesterol was like 4 times what it should be, which caused the heart attack. So they took mine. I'm not giving you numbers because the numbers you have aren't the same as the numbers we have here.
Sure.
We do it in a different way. But my cholesterol was twice what it should have been, and I was at risk of having a heart attack or a stroke at any time. It was that high. So they put me on the statin. And I said, can't I do this with diet? Does it have to be a statin? And the doctor looked at me and he said, if you lived on a lettuce leaf and a glass of water, you would still have high cholesterol. It's hereditary. So I don't know whether that is what I was told, whether it's true, whether there was something I can do. I have tried stopping it, and every time I have, and it's been tested, it's gone really high. So I have reluctantly decided that probably I do need to take it.
You know, I do not like to ignore bad cholesterol readings, and I'll be honest with you, I've been surprised by a couple of cases that did present with cardiovascular disease because it had been ignored. And you know, you always want to think that you can fix everybody with your root cause systems approach, you know, because I look at systems in the body. I look at all the different systems. I mean, I'm looking at insulin glucose, which is the biggest problem associated with high cholesterol. And then I look at hormones and thyroid. Thyroid affects cholesterol immensely. And we look at the gut, and we look at the adrenals, you know, liver detoxification and purification, you know, your diet, your supplements that you're taking. I mean, I have quite a few other systems that whenever I'm doing cases, that I'll look at the different systems in the body and I say, okay, which systems do I need to affect to get the most bang for the buck? You know, and when it comes to cholesterol, insulin glucose system is my number one go-to system. And when we fix insulin glucose system imbalances, then we normally fix this. We do a little 21-day purification program, and it's a detoxification purification that we've come up with. And during this program, you eat very clean, very low allergenicity. Matter of fact, it's kind of like a ketogenic or paleo type diet. And we also do some things to help the body detox. And we routinely get drops in cholesterol of 70 to 100 points in 21 days. And you may say 70 to 100 points. And I say, oh yeah. But it's not in every single case. And I've had a couple of cases that surprised me, that they did everything right and it didn't come down. And I could have investigated a million other systems in their body, but they just didn't have the cash to do that. And so at that point, I said, you know what, this is a great time for you to start a statin. And I'm not a statin guy. But that was a time to start a statin.
Well, I was also a type 2 diabetic for several years. And last year this time, after being a diabetic, I don't know for how many years, several years, I was told that I am a diabetic in remission. I'm still pre-diabetic, but I'm not. Once you're a diabetic, they can never take that label away. I'm still a diabetic, but I'm a diabetic in remission. So I'm really happy because I was on metformin, and I don't have to take that anymore. Now, if I'd have had a friendly pharmacist where I live to talk to, I picked up the prescription for the metformin. Oh my goodness, I felt so nauseous. Nobody could talk to me because I was going, I couldn't swallow. And I was thinking, well, that's it. I'm going to have to die because I can't take it. I just cannot take this medication. I'm going to have to go back to my doctor and say, I can't do it because it just makes me feel so nauseous. I can't turn my head. I can't move. I can't bend. And when I went back, and this was like 2 weeks I suffered with this, really trying hard. And she said, why didn't you tell me we can give you a slow release formula? And it's really, I didn't realise that. So this is why it's so important to have a friendly pharmacist that you can talk to and discuss your problems with, because they're your friend, aren't they?
Matter of fact, I feel like a bartender sometimes. And we get to hear stories, and most of the stories are great. And then we also can make recommendations. I might have a patient come in and say, Jim, I've tried metformin. It killed my stomach. Then I tried metformin slow release. It killed my stomach. My gut was just in knots. And I said, well, let's try you on alpha lipoic acid, very high dose. Let's go 600 milligrams, slow release, twice a day. And then if that doesn't work, we'll add on berberine, 400 to 500 milligrams twice a day. And I promise you, we're going to get it down. And you know what? It's worked almost every time with no side effects. Wow. So there are other things out there once you know the details of how they work and what dosage to use. And also supplements are, unfortunately, in an industry fraught with fraud. And I love supplements. I take a lot of supplements. I use a lot of supplements with my patients, but I know that the quality out there is rough. And I think I've seen as much as 80% of supplement lines out there have been shown to be unethical. And that really bothers me, Linda. And so I really specialize in recommending for my patients. I feel like I owe it to them to know what brands I'm using, know the details of how they're manufactured, what kind of ingredients they use, and make sure that they have a higher chance of success by using a quality supplement. Yes,
well, definitely. And over here we have some companies that make supplements, and they word it very carefully, where it's pharmaceutical grade, something or other, some wording to it. But when you actually investigate, it's the building that they're in meets pharmaceutical grade, but not actually the supplements.
Right.
And when they're tested, they don't, in some cases, don't match up with, you know, how you have to have a list of ingredients and the top one is what the most percentage is. Well, these fall short. They're not actually doing you as much good as you think they are, which is a terrible shame because some of these supplements are so expensive. They really are very expensive.
I don't know if on your side, but as far as we're concerned over here, that if you get a really good bargain on a supplement, most likely it's pretty poor quality because quality is expensive.
Yes.
You know, you can't give away quality because it does cost more to pay attention to all the details, the products going in, the testing of the final product, and good manufacturing and all that. Everybody's going to say that they're good quality, but not everybody is going to put their money where their mouth is.
Yes, it's easier to put some fillers or something in, isn't it, to dilute it, to make them go further.
Or go cheap on ingredients, you know.
Yes.
Just like on compounding, you know, I could buy cheap ingredients or I can buy more expensive ingredients, and you know the difference might just be $1 or $2 to the patient, but I know that I've gotten high quality ingredients as opposed to low quality, and that $1 or $2, if that's going to make or break my business, then I'm in the wrong business.
And just very quickly, we nearly run out of time. The capsules that you compound, what filler do you use?
Typically, I use Avicel, which is a methylcellulose, and it's great because it disperses nicely the drug in the GI tract. And the other thing is almost nobody is allergic to it. We actually have a center here in Dallas called the Environmental Health Center, and they treat patients that are environmentally so sensitive that they can't be around almost any chemical. I mean, even underarm deodorant and hairspray. I mean, nothing. And we use Avicel for those kind of prescriptions because nobody reacts to this Avicel, this methylcellulose compound.
Well, we've run out of time. It's been absolutely amazing speaking to you. It was great to get to know you, and maybe we can do this again and have some further case studies. You said that you train doctors on the use of LDN, and that could be another program.
It is an exciting portion of my practice, is to get to train other practitioners how to be successful in their practice.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, enjoyed talking to you, and thanks again for what you do.
This show is sponsored by Las Colinas Pharmacy. They're an ACHC accredited compounding pharmacy, rated in the top 2% of US compounding pharmacies. To achieve the most successful outcomes, Low-dose naltrexone therapy requires extensive experience coupled with a knowledgeable, integrative medicine approach. Visit www.lascalinapharmacy.com. Any questions or comments you may have, please email me, Linda, Linda, at ldnrt.org. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciated your company. Until next time, stay safe and keep well.